What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Dan and Stephen here with another reaction, and in this episode we're going to do some Killer Mike. We're not doing Killer Mike or Run the Jewels. Sorry,
we're not doing Run the Jewels. We're doing Killer Mike on his own.
This is an old song, Stephen. Have you heard of much of Killer Mike? Have you listened to any of his old any of his solo songs? No.
I'm completely fresh to this. We'll Run the Jewels. I'll listen to the stuff that we've reacted to and listened to a couple of their songs, and we've done our Run the Jewels songs recently. And I do like them. And Killer Mike, I know him well now because he's been on Joe Rogan. He's like, he's an activist, isn't he?
Yeah,
He just comes across as a really fucking nice guy as well. He's
cool,
just like a really good dude.
Yeah.
But I've never actually got into his music, so
he's really intelligent. Yeah, I like him. I like him for his music, but I like his political activism. He's on recently about the whole killing.
Speech.
Yeah, of George Floyd there. This song's an old song. It's been not old. It's been 8 years now. I've never heard it. I've always wanted to listen to it. I always thought it'd be a good video, a good song to react to, because I think it's going to be more like it's all going to be about politics and obviously Ronald Reagan. This is Killer Mike Reagan. So yeah, we'll give it a go and see how it goes. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of talking points throughout it, so we're gonna try not to pause it.
Try not to make it fucking 15 minutes long video. We'll try to get it in a reasonable time, but we kind of waffle on sometimes.
Yeah, this is Killer Mike. Illuminati.
Our government has a firm policy not to capitulate to terrorist demands, that no concessions policy remains in force. In spite of the wildly speculative and false stories about arms for hostages and alleged ransom payments, we did not trade weapons or anything else for hostages. Nor will we.
The ballad of the bullet, some freedom or some bullshit. Will we ever do it big or just keep settling for little shit? We brag on having bread, but none of us are bakers. We all talk having greens, but none of us own acres. If none of us own acres and none of us grow wheat, then who will feed our people when our people need to eat? So it seems our people starve from lack of understanding, cause all we seem to give them is some ballin' and some dancing and some talking about our car and imaginary mansions. We should be indicted for bullshit we inciting, telling children deaf and pretending it's exciting. We are advertisements for agony and pain. We exploit the youth, we tell them to join the gang. We tell them dope stories, introduce them to the game. Just like Oliver North introduced us to cocaine in the 80s when them bricks came on military plane.
What?
A few months ago, I told the American people I did not trade arms for hostages. My heart and my best intentions still tell me that's true, but the facts and the evidence tell me it is not.
The end of the Reagan era, I'm like Lemma 12er, old enough to understand the shit had changed forever. They declared the war on drugs, like a war on terror, but what it really did was let the police terrorize whoever. But mostly black boys, but they would call us niggas, and lay us on our belly while they fingers on their triggers. They boots was on our head, they dogs was on our crotches, and they would beat us up if we had diamonds on our watches, and they would take our drugs and monies as they pick our pockets. I guess that's the privilege of policing for some profit. But thanks to Reaganomics, prison turned to profits, cause free labor's the cornerstone of U.S. economics. Cause slavery was abolished unless you are in prison. You think I ambush it and then read the 13th Amendment. Involuntary servitude and slavery it prohibits. That's why they giving drug offenders time in double digits.
That line there, I think it's really good. Like, slavery never really ended. This basically changed the idea of it all. So I don't know if you know anything about that. It's like the 13th Amendment was about like owning slaves, to being owning slaves. They basically we changed it. There was no slavery allowed in the United States. However, if they commit a crime, then they're basically, obviously if you're in jail, you're allowed to be a slave. Prisons do in America is they use them for labor, free labor.
They use them for they make shit for businesses.
Yeah,
it's basically just free labor, and they actually get paid like a cent an hour or something. That's weird. Or they do get paid, but it's just nothing.
And sometimes, yeah, some don't get paid. Some I think they can work off time off their sentences and shit. But that's just slavery. What's the difference? And if you look at actually the mass incarceration rate from after Jim Crow law up until now, like, it's went up like from like 500,000 to like 3 million people. You know what I mean? So basically, like instead of saying trying like to persecute like the black community in America, like through segregation, through the Jim Crow law, they basically just changed it all and made it legal to own slaves in jail. And then they started, obviously during Reaganomics, they started changing it to
making get car fucking number plates and shit. And
well, not even that though. They changed it so that like the prison system or the prisons in America are actually owned by private organizations. So so the government pay them to actually construct like prisons and jails, but for them, in order for them to pay them, they need people in jail. So when you're trying to make profit of people in jail, like what the fuck, like. So for you to make money, for that business to make money, you need people in jail, and the government and this business go hand in hand, are like partners in this here. So like obviously they're trying to put more people in jail, just to make more money off it. That's fucking dark, isn't it?
Yeah.
This goes deep, by the way.
This is one of these nice light-hearted songs we're listening to.
Yeah. The bad thing about this, this topic, it goes deeper than just this song, and I don't think there's enough time in this video to actually go through it all. But maybe in the podcast.
Reagan was an actor, not at all a factor. Just an employee of the country's real masters. Just like the Bushes, Clinton and Obama, just another talking head telling lies on teleprompters. If you don't believe the theory, then argue with this logic. Why did Reagan and Obama both go after Gaddafi? We invading sovereign soil, going after oil. Taking countries is a hobby, paid for by the oil lobby. Same as in Iraq and Afghanistan. And Ahmadinejad say they coming for Iran. They only love the rich and how they load the poor. If I say any more, they might be at my door. Who the fuck is that? Staring in my window, doing that surveillance on Mr. Michael Render. I'm dropping off the grid before they pump the lead. I leave you with 4 words. I'm glad Reagan dead.
The music is actually fast.
Isn't it? Oh, that was class. Sorry.
Yeah, it was good.
I love the song. I loved it. That was the first time I ever listened to it. Like, I love Killer Mike's flow. I love how he sounds, but I love his social commentary on like society sometimes as well. That's why I love Run the Jewels, because like they're asking questions about like what's going on in society, which we don't ask anymore, or like we want to ignore. And I think when you look back at like sitting presidents like Ronald Reagan, both George Bushes, and like Bill Clinton, like people can obviously like interpret that they were positive, they did X, Y, and Z. But if you really go back and like look at their policies and what their agenda was, it's really, really dark. And sometimes we don't address that. And I think that's why I love we have Killer Mike and Run the Jewels doing that there. They're pointing fingers like, what the fuck was this about? Why do you do this here? Why do they target black minorities in America? I
was even watching a documentary on Netflix last night, and it was about the stock market that crashed. And one thing that struck me on it was so do you know why we've got the Securities Exchange Commission, which is the SEC, which regulates the big banks, right? So whenever there's a new president, every time there's a new term or a new president, the president puts people into the SEC. So he picks like a lawyer or 2 people, whoever it is, and they're planted in the SEC. So Obama had people, Trump has people now, Bush had people, and then like those people are then in charge of regulating the banks. And I'm like, but they're like the president's fucking friend that's going in. It's like, this is so fucked up. And then they were just highlighting the fact that, do you know why there wasn't, whenever the market crashed and the Lehman Brothers, there wasn't really much prosecution brought towards them. It's because the people who were prosecuting them were put in by the president, who also worked for the big banks. And I'm like, this is fucking insane. It's just crazy how much the influence like the president does have. Like, we're so detached from America. Like, we're not American, so I don't even know what's going on. Like, even all their cultural issues, just every time you hear about it, it makes me just go, like obviously there's amazing parts of America, but it makes you just be like, I'm glad I don't live there. Like,
I know there is like I people always slag off America, but like we've had this conversation before. America has the dumbest people, but it also has the smartest people. It has the craziest people, but it has like the most compassionate people. It's just like a boiling pot for the world, America, and that's why it's amazing. That's why you have so much good things come out of it. But the bad thing on the flip side of it, there you have so much bad things. And I think their history with slavery, like segregation, Jim Crow, war on drugs, you know, it's fucked up. Police brutality, like we seen like this week, which is really sad. Like about George Floyd and all too, and how he was killed. Like that's just been happening in America for years and decades. It's just what's happening now is people have mobile phones now. They can record it. And they can post
That's
it.
what Will Smith said. It's like racism hasn't changed. We're just recording it.
Yeah.
No, that's the difference. But like, it's funny. Like, it's for us because we're not American. So like, it's funny what we ourselves clue into. Like we're so attached to their culture. Like their celebrities, their movies. We hate their sport. Like we pick and choose elements of America that we like and don't like. It's like it's so weird for us because we're so far removed from America, but they're such a big country and have such an influence on the world that we don't hear stuff that's happening in other countries.
Yeah.
But America's like, why are we so clued into their media?
Yeah.
Like, it's a completely different country. It's weird.
It's probably because but it's also, I think, for Ireland and Irish people and us, like we have this attachment with America because what happened during Ireland's history and immigration and stuff. Like we all have family members who moved there. Like I have aunties. I'm sure you have your family members who moved to America years ago. So we have like there's the generations of families who are still connected that way, and I've always seen as like the promised land, like the new start, the new world. So in that sense, that's why Irish people are connected that way.
There's like a love affinity with it. Yeah, I get that. It's just weird that like there's so many like things that happen in all these countries around the world, but like if something happens in America, us in Ireland, it's like our top story, and I'm like, it's weird that, and I'm glad it is because there's stuff that happens in America that you need to know about that's fucking horrendous, but it's still like, it's so weird our connection to it.
Yeah.
Like we don't have the same connection to Russia or Germany or any of these other countries. We have no idea what's going on there, but we seem to know. And I think it's maybe because maybe we're so like them. Like we love their music, their movies, like their culture.
And they, as much as we don't want to admit it, they are like the world's police, basically. Like they are. Yeah. You can't do anything in the world. I'm sure every country in the world can't do anything without America having their say in it now. So what they do in America, like what American politics do, affects the world. Sadly, you know, Trump getting elected, and regardless who you want to win that election, like that had massive implications for other countries around the world in terms of trade deals, you know, agreements, in terms of war as well, like. You know,
yeah, you're right.
Like I'm sure, if you look at Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan, if a different president was there during that time, that they probably wouldn't have went to war. But in terms of that song, back to the song, song's class.
Good song.
Love Killer Mike, and I can't wait.
A real stand-up dude.
Yeah, I can't wait for Run the Jewels 4. But let us know in the comments what you think, and any other songs you want to react to, let us know. Cheers.
Hi everyone, thanks for watching the video. Please like, comment and subscribe. Just to let you know, we've got similar content available on the channel if you want to check it out.
We also do our own podcast called MCPodcasting, where we cover a range of topics from politics, sports, and even movies.
We basically just talk a lot of shit.
We argue a lot as well on it there, but all the links are below. We're on all major platforms, Spotify, iTunes, and is there any other?
That's the main ones, yeah.
Yeah, it's the main ones.
Just check out the podcast, and if there's any sort of videos you want us to react to, drop us a comment on the YouTube videos, and we'll be sure to check it out.
Or if you want to make fun of us, then go ahead. We don't care.
Be nice.
Be nice.
In fairness, we don't really get that many comments.
No, don't.
Yeah.
Stop looking at me.
Okay.